Good morning, everyone. Today's sermon is different in many ways. First, today's sermon is pre-recorded. You guys know that I sometimes have technical difficulties while sitting at home, and I thought my potential for technical issues was likely to be much greater since I'm doing today's church service from La Ceiba, Honduras. I decided to give myself the best chance for success in communicating today's message to you because it's close to my heart. And second, the messages I usually offer are usually underpinned by some excerpt from our colorful collection of faith traditions. Today's message is a little bit different. You know that little ditty that I've told you guys I like a lot? Enter, rejoice, and come in. You know, when I was a child, we had the equivalent of Boys and Girl Scouts within my church denomination. It was called Pathfinders. We had honors and patches that we earned, and we did marching drills, and we recited pledges and mottos. I don't remember much of the specifics, but there is one excerpt of one of the pledges or mottos that stuck with me since childhood, about 4 years old. The excerpt is, "Keep a song in my heart and go on God's errands." Well, this week as I began to think, and I was thinking and really helping to shape this sermon around some feelings about what I wanted to share with you, that reality was true in my life. Keep a song in my heart. Right before I left for Honduras, which seems like a long time ago, I posted something on Facebook, and our friend Paula, replied in the comments saying, "Don't be afraid of some change." I tried to remember what the post was. I post lots of stuff, and I couldn't specifically remember, but at the time, her reply was spot on. Change. Change is one of those words that either causes you to cringe or causes you to lean into the challenge. Well, change is hard. Yet change has been one of the most significant constants in my life. My life has had so many twists and turns, and I wanted to take you through them all this morning so that you understood how much change has been a part of my life. But time would simply not allow that to happen this morning. But this week, the song in my heart, or the part of the song, was that silly sounding ditty, "Don't be afraid of some change," over and over, like a stuck record that was playing in my mind, both while on land and while under the sea. And what can I offer to you this morning about change? I don't have any scriptures or writings from the Vedas or quotes from Rumi, but I want to share just a part of my story today. The book of LaRahna, chapters 30 through 49 in a condensed version. I was 30 years old. It was New Year's Eve. I was in New York City, still in the shadow years after the 9/11 Twin Towers tragedy, and I remember saying, it was even a thought, I'm in New York City, but I don't want to be around the crowds at Times Square. And I made the decision to stay home. I was defeated. I was helpless. I was exhausted from life, and life was pointless to me. I remember feeling that life was an endless cycle of waking up to suffer, to go to sleep only to wake up again and do it over. I felt no connection with purpose, and life for me felt like insanity. What difference does it make if I wake up or not? I remember questioning myself about whether I was feeling suicidal. I wasn't. I was questioning. I was questioning to the atmosphere, maybe God, maybe nothing, but I was asking for answers. Tell me what the point of life is. Make it make sense to me. I remember asking out into the air, what is the point? And I remember firmly thinking, if there is no purpose to life, then life is just stupid and a waste of unnecessary suffering. I had reached my spiritual bottom. I could not stay in that mode for 60, 70, 80 more years. What did I do? I wrote a letter to God. I wish I knew where that small red hardcover journal was today, but the letter said something like, I know there's more, and I'm 100% committed to whatever path I need to be on to find it. But God, give me the courage to take the journey. You see, I know I was a hot mess. I looked cleaned up on some days, but I was living the life that I knew was a hot mess. I was 30. I'd been pregnant 5 times. The first time at age 13. I had 4 children who collectively had 3 different fathers. I had bailed out of 3 major relationships, and I knew I was a big basket of all kinds of issues. And on a hiatus from full-time parenting, here I was in New York City alone. Life better have some purpose, or else I'm on a hamster wheel of just ignorant insanity. But committed I was. In that letter, I vowed to be just as committed as I had been to the other things in my life. You see, I've always been an all-in kind of person. But it was a commitment to this new, unknown journey. Oh my gosh, even though I can see it more clearly from hindsight, I was praying for change. I was praying for the courage to change. Don't be afraid. Really should be slightly different wording. It should really be, you are going to be afraid. Change anyway. The 20 years since that time has been filled with so many scary things. Some 6 months after that time, as a more or less religious anarchist, I felt the call to apply to seminary. Of all places, seminary. A degree in practical theology with some evangelical institution run by, of all people, Pat Robertson. I had previously formally disavowed my involvement in the Seventh-day Adventist Church, the church that I was raised in. I had no religion. I was a seeker, a wanderer. And I remember thinking, there is no way in hell they will accept me. Because I was honest in those essays they ask you to write when applying for grad school. And if God wants me there, well then they get the real me. I was a heathen. I had turned my back on the church, and my grandmother had already told me that who I was the worst kind of apostasy there could be. Well, hell, literally, because that's where she told me I was destined to visit. And to my utter shock, as so many other things in life have amazed me, they accepted me. I remember the early stages of my personal transformation. I remember one day looking in the mirror and thinking, while looking at myself, my real self, in the mirror, into my soul, that kind of looking. This is the hardest thing I've ever done. The transformation was hard. It required me layer by layer to deal with my garbage, The singing prophet Erica Badu sings a song called Bag Lady, and she was talking about me. I had bags upon bags of garbage. And if you could see how much I got in my suitcase for this trip, you'll understand a little bit about how efficient I can pack a bag. But change. Was I afraid? Terrified. Still am sometimes when change is required. But I repeated my prayer often. Give me courage. Let me tell y'all, life has been a windy road of healing. Major, deep soul tissue kind of healing. And that will likely never end. I will never arrive. But I don't only want to talk about change. I want to talk about the gift it brings. Not like other things where someone dangles a goodie and you leap forward because of the carrot on the string kind of gift. But the surprise kind of gift, like the kind someone sneaks onto your nightstand and it's just there when you open your eyes. So fast forward to 2022. Change. Y'all may have figured it out. I tend to be passionate about stuff. Seeds was one of those passions. For so many reasons that'll probably be the fodder of at least 20 sermons sometime in the future. But I was at a crossroads. And let me tell y'all, I believe the stuff I tell you guys. The universe will provide. The crossroad was, if seeds was going to continue, it would require an additional $125,000 of capital. My feelings about seeds are like my dad taught me to see life. I want to live, so I'll do everything I can to live, but if my time to live is done, I'll be just as ready to let go and move on to what's next. I loved seeds, and I did everything to breathe the life energy into it, while at the same time placing it into the hands of God and the universe. And the answer was, it has run its course, the circle of life. It was emotional, but emotional like going to my grandmother's and then my mother's funerals last year. It was a grief for the loss, but it was also a refusal to die too. I will yet live. It was scary. My kids were anxious for me. Mom, what will you do if you really retire? I don't know. Go on a gap year, rest, reflect, meditate, and enter a new chapter. But the reality was, I don't know. Where will I live? I don't know. What will I do? I don't know. Can I afford it? Maybe. Maybe not. What's the worst that can happen? And then I realized, nothing. There is no worst that can happen. It's just life. But let me tell you, I realized this week that in letting go, in not being so afraid of change that I refused, I realized I was living one of my heart's desires. Some of you that have spent time talking to me know that I'm serious about how I like to live. I really, really, truly want to live as much of life as possible in flip-flops and a sarong. I envision myself as some funny old lady with a porch and a rocking chair handing out mini sermons wrapped in life stories to whoever might cross my path. And this week, I was mentally making a decision to buy more sarongs when I get home and some more comfortable flip-flops. And then I realized I was actually living that dream. I was living one of my heart's desires, at least for this past week. And then, like the cherry on top, I was under the sea, saying things to myself like, girl, you better not start crying. You can't manage not one more variable in this scuba diving thing while you're trying to get yourself together 6 stories under the water. You see, I'd just taken 2 dives off the back of a boat into the open ocean water to catch a swim with some playful dolphins. And at that moment where I was having that talk with myself, I was 6 stories under the sea, looking in utter amazement at some things that so few people get to see, and I was overcome with gratefulness. What if I had been afraid to change? What would I have missed? And in that moment, I reminded myself again that it was all worth it. Has change been hard? Come have a sit a spell and I'll tell you how hard it's been. During my post-knee recovery, I wrote a play that one day will be seen by the public about just a fraction of how hard change has been and what it has really looked like in my life. Today, as you reflect on the changes in your life that may seem insurmountable, for me, those things are my fitness, my weight, my health, but things that took many years to create my now situation. But yet, in spite of, I crammed this fluffy body into a wetsuit. Y'all, for real, I almost had to phone a friend to get in and out. I put aside all embarrassment that wanted to muster itself. I took the good me, and let me tell y'all, titanium floats differently than bones. Ask me how I found out about that later. And I took the bad me. I took the help to get those fins off so I could hoist myself back up into that boat. All of me, plus my gear, plus 23 pounds of weight strapped to my weight belt. I did it. And the reward, like my healing journey in life, was so worth it. So change. Change is hard. That is the reality. Change hurts. It can be painful at times. Seemingly unbearably painful at times. But in my best pastoral voice, hear me. Change is worth it. We sing these songs on purpose. Don't be afraid of some change. I hope you too will keep that song in your heart as you walk through life and change offers you the opportunity for what happens beyond change. I love you all, and I look forward to seeing you all once I'm back stateside. Don't be afraid of some change.